Okay, starting a lecture with this new one. Okay. Good morning, students. So, in the previous lecture, we talk about the different and mainly subject is selection of foundation and subsoil exploration, right? So, just give me a second. Okay, so last time we start the new topic, right, which is subsoil exploration, and we see the what is the meaning of and what are the different kind of investigations done at the site, right, which is also called known as a site investigation or site exploration, right? So which type of taste conducts at due to soil explorations, right? What type of analysis preparations or other types of study required, which we see in the previous lectures, right? What are the objective of explorations, what are the planning of subsoil exploration, which includes the depth of exploration and the little extent of explorations, right? And at the very next, we saw that there's different stages in the subsoil exploration, right? First one is reconnaissance, second is preliminary explorations, and the last one is detailed explorations, right? And then and then we learned methods of soil explorations, which is direct, semi-direct, and indirect, and different types of auger we studied, right? Auger and share boring, wash boring, rotary drilling, right? Percussion drilling. So today we talk about and learn about soil sampling and types of soil samples, right? So on that note, we see this type of table, which is types of soil samples required for the laboratory trace, right? Different types of trace is required, different types of samples, right? So first one for nature water content require undisturbed or SPT sample, right? For density test, required sample is undisturbed. For specific gravity, required representative or undisturbed sample. For grain size distribution test, we require representative or undisturbed sample, right? For Atterberg limits, we require representative or undisturbed samples. For coefficient of permeability, consolidation parameters, and shear strength parameters, this all three tests require undisturbed samples, right? So basically, this tables learn about is mainly different types of tests require different types of samples, right? So next is sample disturbance, right? So here, in figure 1.27, there is one figure given, which is a soil sampler, right? Uh, in this figure, there is one sampling tube are given, and at the bottom one, cutting edges are provided, right? Uh, Okay, so there are four criteria, which is D1, D2, D3, and D4, right? These are all the dimension of this sampler, right? So here, at we talk about the bottom part. So the inner distance or inner diameter we consider as a D1, and outer diameter out to out, right? We consider as a D2. And from we talking about sampling tube, the inner diameter we taking as a D3 into in, and out to out diameter we taken as a D4. So the extent of disturbance to samples due to the sampler depends on the three features of its design. First is dimension of cutting edge, second is inside wall frictions, and the third one is non-return valve, right? So there are some design features effect we will learn about. First one is area ratio, which is known as AR, right? So area ratio is defined as AR equation is equal to maximum cross sectional area of the cutting edge divided by area of the soil sample multiplied by 100. So here from the criteria of maximum cross-sectional area, right? So maximum cross-sectional area is d2 square minus d1 square divided by d1 square multiplied by 100. Here d1 is equal to inner diameter of the cutting edge, d2 is equal to outer diameter of the cutting edge. So for the good results or good quality undisturbed samples, the area ratio should be less than 10%, right? Second term or second is inside clearance, which is known as a ci. C indicates clearance and I indicates inside. So it is defined as ci equation is equal to d3 minus d1 divided by d1 multiplied by 100. Here d3 is equal to inner diameter of sampling tube, right? So this inner clearance allows elastic expanse of the sample when it enters to the tube, which helps in reducing the friction between the soil sample and the sampler, right? So basically, code recommend that inner clearance CI should be from 1 to 3%, right? Next term is outside clearance, which is known as a CO, right? So its equation is d2 minus d4 divided by d4 multiplied by 100, where d4 is equal to outer diameter of sampling tube. Okay, so for that, sometimes reducing the driving force, the outside clearance should be as small as possible. So normally it lies between 0 to 2%, right? Next, next is inside wall friction, right? So that the friction on the inside wall causes the disturbance of the samples. So the inside surface of the sampler should be smooth, right? So it should so it is usually smeared with oil before the used to reduce the friction, right? So oiling on the inside wall is necessary because it's avoiding friction of walls, right? Next one is the design of non-return valve. So the non-return valve provided on sampler should be of proper design. So it should have an orifice of the large area to allow air, water or slurry to escape quickly when the sampler is driven, right? So it should immediately close when the sampler is withdrawn, right? Next is a method of applying force. So the degree of sample disturbance mainly depends on the methods of applying force during the sampling. So upon the rate of penetration of the sampler, for obtaining this undisturbed samples, the sampler should be pushed and not driven. So the another parameter which is an index of sample disturbance is a recovery ratio, which is known as LR, right? Recovery ratio known as a LR. So LR equation is equal to recovered length of the sample divided by penetration length of the sampler, right? Here if LR is equal to 1, then it indicates it's good recovery. If LR less than 1, then it indicates the soil is compressed. If LR is less than 1, sorry, greater than 1, then it indicates the soil has swell. Okay, so next is a type of soil samplers. So basically, soil samplers are classified as a thick wall sampler and thin wall sampler. So split spoon sampler is one of the thick wall type, and the Shelby tubes are of the thin wall type, right? So basically, soil samplers are classified mainly depends on the mode of operations. So first one is a open drive sampler. Second is a stationary piston sampler, and third one is a rotary sampler, right? So talking about first one, which is open drive sampler. So it is normally a thin walled seamless steel tube sampler, also known as a Shelby tube, with a hard cutting edge and connected to a sampler head. So the sampler head contains a ball check valves and port with permit the easy escape of water or air from the sampler tube as the sample enters it, right? So the check wall helps to retain the sample when the sample is lifted up. So basically, the seamless or it may be split into two parts. So Shelby tube is a seamless tube, while split source sampler splits in two part, right? So here we starting with this figure, which is a split spoon sampler. So this is a thick wall type open drive sampler, as you can see that. So it basically consists of three parts. First one is a steel tube, which is 450 long, as you shown in this figure in the middle part, which is steel tube, right? So split lengthwise in two halves. First one is a driving shoe, right, which is here driving shoe, which is made of tool steel, which is and which is 75 long, as you can see that, which is attached to the lower end of the split tube, which serves as a cutting edge, right, as you can see that, which serve as a cutting edge, right? And the second one is the sampler head. As you can see that these are the sampler head, right? So sampler head, it is also known as a couplings, right, is 150 long and attached to the upper end of the steel tube. This attached to this steel tube, right? So the inside diameter of split tube is 38 as you can see that inside diameter of steel tube is 38 and outside the diameter is 50 So the sampler head is provided with a check valve, right? So here check valve is provided, okay? So and four vent ports of 10 diameter, right? These vent ports are given here, right? And size of 10 diameter. So check valves help to retain the samples when the sample is lifted, and the vent ports allow the air and water to escape while driving the sample. So after the borehole has made, the sampler is lowered to the bottom of the borehole by attaching it to the drill rod. So the sample is then driven by forcing it into a soil by blows from a hammer. So sampler is then withdrawn from the hole, and then the driving shoe and the sampler head are removed. So the two halves of the split tube were separated and the sample is taken off. So the sample is then placed in the container, sealed with wax and transported to the laboratory for the testing, right? So this is the split spoon sampler test. Second is a Selby tube thin wall sample, right? So here the figure is as shown in this figure, right? So basically it is a thin wall seamless steel tube, right? So the uh, outside diameter of tube may be between 40 to here outside diameter is between 40 to 125 right? So commonly used samplers have outside diameter of 50.8 or 76.2 right? So the lower end of the tube is bevel or sharpened, as you can see there, bevel or sharpened, which act as a cutting edge, right? Which is described in this figure, right? So the area ratio is less than 15% and the inside clearance is between 0.5 to 3%, right? So as per a code of practice for a thin wall tube sampling of soils, it basically consists of thin wall seamless sampling tube made of steel, brass or aluminum. So the lower end of the tube is beveled to form a cutting edge and is tapered to reduce wall frictions, right? So these are the dimension of sampling tubes as per IS code, right? So inside diameter is taken as 38, 70 or 100. Outside diameter is 40, 74 and 106 Minimum effective length available for soil sample is 300, 450 and 450. And the area ratio in percentage is 10.9, 11.8 and 20.4, right? So if we consider the diameter 38 diameter inside diameter, so we take all these values, right? So depends on the value we choose, right? Next one is stationary piston sampler, right? So stationary piston sampler. So stationary piston sampler consists of a thin wall tube with a piston inside, as you can see that, right? So the piston keeps the lower end of the sampling tube closed when the sampler is lower to the bottom of the hole, as you can see in this figure, right? Sample is driven, right? So the after the sample have been lower to the desired depth, then the piston is prevented. This is the piston, right? So the piston uh, so the piston is prevented from the moving downwards by the suitable arrangements. So with the differ in a different type of piston samplers, the thin tube sample is pushed past the piston to obtain the sample, right? So the presence of the pistons prevents rapid squeezing of the soft soils into the tube and reduce the disturbance of the sampler. So the vacuum is created on the top of the sample, right, which helps in retaining the sample. So during the withdrawal of the sampler, the piston provide protection against the water pressure which otherwise would have occurred on the top of the sample. So the piston samplers are used for getting undisturbed soil samples from the from the soft and sensitive clays, right? So next is a rotary sampler, which is a Denison sampler known as, right? So a rotary sampler is a double wall sampler. So the out barrel rotates and the cuts into the soil. So the sample is obtained in the inner barrel. So inner barrel is provided with the liner. It may also be provided with a basket type core retainer, right? So the sample is lowered to the bottom of the drill hole. So the downward force applied on the top of the sampler. So the fluid under pressure is introduced through the inner barrel to keep the cutting bit cool when the out barrel rotates, so that the fluid returns through the annular space between the two barrels. So finally, the rotation of the out barrel is continued till the required length of the sample is obtained. So the rotary samplers are mainly used for obtaining samples to the stiff or hard cohesive soils. However, it cannot be used for gravelly soils, loose cohesionless sands, and soils below the groundwater level and very soft cohesive soils. So this Danister sampler is most commonly used rotary sampler, which give samples about 140 mm in diameter and about 508 mm long. Chunk samples. These samples are also called as hand curve samples, right? And it is obtained if the soil exposed as in a test pit, shaft, or tunnel, as you can see there, right? So to obtain the samples of the soil should have some cohesion so that it can stand unsupported for some time. So to obtain a sample column of the soil is isolated in the pit. Soil is carefully removed around the soil column and it is properly trimmed. An open-ended box is then placed over the soil column. Space between the box and the soil column is filled with a paraffin, right? So a spade or plate with a sharp edge is inserted below the box and the sample is cut at its base. So box filled with the soil samples is removed. It is turned over and soil surface in the box is trimmed and any depression is filled with paraffin. So this sample may be obtained without using box if the soil is cohesive. So the chunk of soil is isolated and it is carefully removed with a spatula, right? So then this sample is coated with the paraffin wax to prevent the loss of moisture, and these are undisturbed samples of the soil, right? So we stop our lecture here. If you have any confusion regarding this lecture, right, so you can contact me, and we are here for solving your doubts. Thank you.